What's up guys, Eric here and welcome to the channel. In this video, I'll show you how to use Vvivid's Architectural Series vinyl to give your tabletop or desktop a new look. We'll start by going over the tools and supplies that you'll need for this project. I'll go over the walkthrough tutorial with an up-close point of view of how to wrap the corners of the table and the side edges in particular. We'll go through the overall wrapping process, and then at the end we'll talk a little bit about project time and project costs, so you might know how much time and money investment you might need to do a refacing project like this one. Before we start on the tutorial portion of the video, let's go over the tools and supplies you need for the project. And so going from left to right, here I have a wrap glove, which will be helpful in, you'll see in the video, covering and protecting your hand as you smooth the vinyl over corners and edges. This is what's called a backslitter or a bodyguard knife, and I use it a lot in architectural vinyl applications to cut in between the vinyl and the backing paper, and I'll demonstrate that in the tutorial portion as well. This is just a squeegee. This is a 3M gold with a buffer on one side. It doesn't have anything on the other side. You can put glass tape or Teflon tape on the other if you want as well. And that's for laying down and smoothing the vinyl on the flat surfaces and on the side edges. A utility knife. This is just a stainless steel body one with 30-degree snap-off blades. You can also use the 58 or 59-degree blades as well. A heat source. This is just a heat gun. And then of course the vinyl. This is the vinyl I'm using for this project. It's just basically Vvivid's Architectural Series vinyl, and this is their dark gray concrete architectural vinyl. So those are the very basic supplies that you'll want or need to have on hand. You can have other things on hand, like I have my toolkit here with marking pens and a tape measure for measuring things out, and etc., etc. Not necessary. These are the basic tools you're going to want and need to have on hand. So with that, let's get started with the tutorial portion of the video. Alright, so now that we've gone over the tool supplies you'll need, let's go ahead and get started with the application. First of all, make sure you cut the piece that's going to be big enough to cover out the entire surface that you're going to be applying the vinyl to, making sure you have enough to go over the sides, and a little bit extra so you can grab and maneuver and give yourself a little bit of wiggle room just in case. And you can see the piece I have there is sized appropriately. The next thing that I like to do is I'll use my bodyguard knife, and I'll make basically a strip in the middle by going down one side of the middle. You see I can get the shoe of the bodyguard knife in between the vinyl and the backing paper, slide it down to make a cut of just the backing paper without cutting through the vinyl. So I'll go ahead and cut that, and then what I'll do next is about maybe 3 to 4 inches to one side of that cut that you made. Make another cut that parallels the first cut you made, and that basically creates a strip right in the middle of the vinyl that you can then peel apart later or peel off later, and you'll see me do that piece here in a minute in the rest of the tutorial, so that you can anchor down the vinyl with basically a hinge in the middle. You can see that strip right there, right in the middle. Go ahead and replace your vinyl as if you're about to, basically get it back into place where you're going to apply it, and then you'll want to make sure that you hold it down. You can see I'm recentering and reapplying, not reapplying, but recentering the vinyl to make sure that I know where I'm going to do pull it. So kind of hold it in place, hold that zipper as we like to call it, and then once you pull it out, you'll see that you're going to lightly apply that middle piece now. And because it's a thin strip, if you do need to remove the vinyl, it's not much that's been applied down, and you can pick it up and relay it again if you need to. Mine laid exactly where it needs to. I didn't move it as I saw, and so what I'll do now is start to peel off, pick a half and start to peel the backing paper on that. And you'll see I'll peel the backing paper, and this is short enough that I'll peel about halfway, halfway back, and use and hold that up, and then and you'll see me applying the vinyl to the flat surface here. I'll switch positions so a little better camera angle for you guys. Just basically pull the paper and squeegee down that vinyl. Make sure you do overlapping squeegee strokes and make sure you get out any air. Once you finish applying that half, basically do the same for the next half, as you'll see me do here. Pull the backing paper a little bit, start squeegeeing the vinyl. As you reach the paper, just pull the paper a little bit more. And so now once you've done that, go back and make sure that you've completely laid down the top with no air bubbles that are trapped. And so now that we're ready to wrap the corners, let's take a minute here to show you up close how you would wrap corners. So I'm going to lay a piece down here real quick, and this kind of simulates having the whole piece laid out, as you saw just before going into this up close mode. So I got my vinyl that's overhanging on both sides. I'm using my thumb to find the corner, and I'm pushing it down and kind of rolling the vinyl just over the tip of the corner. Once I find that, I'm going to cut from the corner just below and kind of cut outwards at a 45-degree angle, creating two tabs, one on each side. I'm going to take this tab on the side and pull it down just a little bit and use my thumb, my other hand, to basically smooth that down over the edge and onto the flat, and make sure that you get the edge flat, the edges really well, so that no air is trapped right there on the edge where it rolls over the side. Then use your thumb to flatten down the sides. The part that kind of goes over, you can see I'm just bringing it over the other side and flattening that down as well, and making sure that it's on nice and tight, applied very well so that there's no air bubbles under that. Once I'm confident that's done, just take your knife and use the side of the blade against the underside of the table, kind of I hold it at a 45-degree-ish angle, and trim off that excess as you saw me do just there. Now that that's done, you can go ahead and do the other side just as you see here. Basically, again, I'm using my thumb to roll the vinyl over the edge, making sure that make sure that it's applied very well and there's no trapped air right on the edges there. If there's kind of a pointy tip on the top of the corner there, you see I just took my knife and just kind of tapped it a little bit and kind of pounds it down and smooths out that corner. Pull it down and then wrap around the side there just a little bit and make sure that your flat side is applied very well. Next, what you'll do is take that side flap and bring it around the corner, and you can either leave it as is like that. With this vinyl, it tends to disappear, or you can trim it back a little bit. I like to leave maybe about 1/8 to 1/4 inch around the side, just to give it a little bit of surface area to hold on to. Hit it with just a little bit of heat to activate the adhesive, make it flow a little better and stick a little bit harder, and conform and mold to the corner itself. Let it cool just for a second, and then you can trim off however much you would want to trim off. I'd recommend leaving it at least 1/8. I'm leaving about 1/8 there, as you can see, trimming that piece off of there, and it disappears with this texture and color of vinyl. And so you can see next I'm just going to trim off the rest of the underside of the flap that's hanging out, and that is basically how you would wrap the corner of this tabletop. Alright, so now that I've shown you how to do the corners, let's get back to wrapping the overall tabletop. And so you can see at the corner there, I'm doing that process of finding the corner tip and then cutting out, doing that to all 4 corners. Then I'm going to start on the sides by rolling over the edges there and on the flats. Notice that I put my wrap glove on there. This is a textured vinyl, so as you rub your fingers against the grain of, or the texture of the vinyl, it is kind of rough, so you kind of get a little bit of friction and some heat there. So the glove not only helps your finger slide over the vinyl well, it also protects it a little bit from friction burns. And so basically you see I'm just doing that process that I showed you up close along each side there, taking care of the back side and the back corners, trimming off that excess. After that, what I'm going to do is roll down the front side next, and essentially do that same process on both corners. Lay it down, lay it across the front, trim off that excess, tap down the corners, give it a little bit of heat to make sure everything is nice and smooth and rounded and not any kind of pokey edges there. So I'll do that to each of the corners. Just give it a little bit of heat to warm it up. You don't want to like go too crazy with the heat. Again, it's just to make sure that everything is set down nice and well. Do that to all 4 corners. And then what I like to do afterwards is just hit the whole surface area with just a little bit of heat to see if there's any trapped air bubbles. And if you do see those, you can try to work them out, or just take a poker of some sort of needle, maybe the tip of your knife, and poke a tiny little hole. And so guys, this tabletop has been fully resurfaced with architectural vinyl, giving it a brand new look from the pine wood or oak wood that it was originally to this really cool textured concrete look. That looks really modern and contemporary, especially given the style of the table. Alright guys, so now that we've finished the walkthrough portion of the tutorial, let's talk a little bit about time and cost for this project. So the desk that I wrapped was a 2-foot deep by 4-foot wide desktop. Add a little bit more to wrap around the edges, maybe about another inch or so. So just slightly bigger than 4 feet and slightly deeper than 2 feet. And so what you'll want to do is make sure that you buy a piece of vinyl that's going to be big enough to cover that amount. Now you could buy this vinyl, which is Vvivid's architectural vinyl, dark concrete gray, on Amazon, and I'll have links in the description below. You can buy a 6.5-foot piece by a 4-foot piece for about $18. So $18 material cost. You're not going to use all of that. Again, the roll is 4 feet by 6.5 feet. You only need 4 feet by 2 feet. And so you'll probably only use about 2/3 of the vinyl. So realistic material costs, you're using about 15-ish, 14, 15-ish dollars worth of that $18 material cost. In terms of time, this is actually, because it's a nice flat, even square-edged desk, it was really quick to do. I did do some time lapse and sped up the video a little bit, but overall the total time it took me to wrap that desktop was about 15 minutes. That doesn't include any cleaning, which is really easy to do. It's fairly clean already. So that's kind of negligible time, maybe 1 or 2 extra minutes. But if you're a beginner at doing this, you could probably expect to take 20, maybe 30 minutes, depending on your skill level and how comfortable you are working with the vinyl. It's a very simple and easy project, but overall this one only took me about 15 minutes to do start to finish. And so for $15 roughly, and about 15 to 30 minutes of your time, depending on your skill level, you can do a really unique reface to your tabletop or desktop, whether you needed a reface because the surface of that tabletop or desktop was a little bit beat up, or maybe you just wanted to change up the look for a little bit. The great part about using the Vvivid architectural vinyl is that it is also removable. So once you've had it on for a little bit and you decide to change up the look, you can peel it back off, kind of like automotive vinyl. Unlike other architectural vinyls such as 3M Dynoc, which is a great vinyl, but when you put that on and it sits for a little bit, it's pretty permanent. You can remove it, but it's going to be very difficult to do, and you may end up damaging the surface that you applied it to. So anyway, this is a great cost-effective way to add a new look to some of your furniture that maybe you just want to change up the color, maybe change up the look, or give it some new life because it's still functional, but maybe it's just a little bit worn out and dated or beat up a little bit. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful for you, informative, instructive, and maybe entertaining. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button and the bell notification button so you get notices whenever I post new content to the channel. I've got more projects in the works and on the way, and I'd love to share those with you. Guys, have a great day.